Welcome back to the Flipside Podcast. Today we're going to be going over swings more in depth, as requested by official Kiriagi. He's trying to get that dub down, so I wanted to go a little deeper into that, and we're just going to look at a whole bunch of different people's swing through, the technicalities of the swing through, and how you get it done. What are the important postures that we're going to be hitting during, say, a dub? Alright, first up we're looking at Mattis TCT. Here we've got the wind up and the full stretch. So in this position, your hips are not square, and you're going to be you're in full extension, as much of a split as you can be in while still retaining some tension in your core. The goal of this is to have your legs and your arms wound back as much as possible so that when they do swing through, they're covering as much distance as possible and therefore allowing the highest amount of acceleration, which will give you more power. And also, the more time that your leg is swinging, so the farther back that it starts, it means more time for the swing through, which means more time to readjust and to fix things and to find a balance as you're taking off for your swing trick. Next up is the actual eagle position. So this is the point where your hips should be squared up. You should be trying to find the proper posture. Your core is engaged. And by leaning forward, the way that you see here from any touchdown trick, really, this is why touchdown tricks are so powerful, because that leaning forward is allowing a strong block. By leaning away from the direction of your motion, away from your dom, you're going to have the strongest block. So here you can see the hips finally squaring up to their full potential, and you can see him hitting proper posturing and a hollow position. And look at how tense his limbs are in relation to his core, or I guess in relation to how they could be. He's not loose in any way, but basically this is how the way that your body works during acrobatics is that your limbs are controlling the direction that you're moving, and they're moving you across the floor. But if there's no tension between the part of your body that is touching the floor and coming back to your core, there's really not a efficient way for your body to move. You need to connect the energy flow from the point of you touching the floor, or that point of you generating the force through your arms, and then actually allowing the tension to come back to your core. So if you're pulling your arms in for a twist, there needs to be strong tension in those muscles in your arms so that energy is transferred to the core to allow you to spin. Because you could, otherwise, if you threw your arm and threw a baseball, right, you would do a 360 after throwing the baseball because your arm is moving. No, because you have a relaxed arm and you're not pulling that energy back into your own body. But in acrobatics, you do want to pull that back into your own body. Here is the swing / the set. So for the set, it's really important to try to get a full stretch from your planted foot all the way up to your armpit. That's going to give you the highest amount of lift. You're basically decompressing all of the joints from your foot to your armpit to get as much lift as you can off of the floor. And for example, if you're going to do a single leg box jump, how would you approach that with full efficiency? That would be swinging that leg. So basically just finding the timing of you jumping off the floor in tandem with the swing and lift of the leg. When you're thinking about it going into a flip, it makes it a lot more complicated, but doing something simple like a box jump really simplifies just that jumping motion. How would you perform a leg swing to just go upwards? It's that simple. Next up is barrel creation and set part 2. So for example, for the set, he's maintaining that full stretch from his planted foot all the way through his armpit. As soon as if you pull that in too early, you're not going to actually continue to rise up. You're going to be cutting your height short big time. So maintaining that lift and being patient on the set, because you can't really start performing your trick until you're nearing the peak of your trick. As soon as you start performing your trick before the peak, you're going to be cutting it short. You're essentially deciding where your peak is by changing body position too early. So you want to get that maximum height and then start changing your body position for whatever trick that you're going to attempt to do, whether it's a twist, a variation, or raising your knee for a kick or whatever that is. And for the barrel creation, that is all about that arm swing going from the eagle position behind your back, and then forwards, and then over to your twisting direction. So I'm going to say left because I'm a left twister. So you're going to swing up and then to the left, and it's good. For me, my arms almost hit near my ears, like my biceps are pretty close to my ears for that turnover position when you're starting your twist. And then even more important than the arms is going to be that knee. You're going to see this happen over and over and over the more examples that I show you guys of that knee going from that perfectly back and forth swing motion, and then on the takeoff into a cork or a double cork or even some of these triple corks, you're actually going to notice that knee drives very far from the swing side over to the plant foot side to create that barrel. The higher up that knee goes, the more inverted and flippy, or at least higher also. So I don't want to sound crazy because I'm just saying all the things at once, but so you see that knee drive up and over to the left if you're a left side twister, and what that's doing is your knee is the closest joint connected to your hip in this, whatever. So the knee is closest to the hip. It's generating power, so the goal is to get your hips as high as you can because you are your hips. That is your main core. That is your main focus in acrobatics is your hips. What are your hips doing? That's your full control. So get that knee up really high because it's the appendage you can control in this situation, and then it will get your hip up really high. Your hip will follow where your knee goes. So you're trying to get that set up and high to the left. The higher that goes, the more flip you will have. And then that full stretch is extremely important in that situation because once it gets up that high, then you can actually start to jump over that knee, essentially. Now that we know the important body positions, let's take a look at a few more. I'm not going to over-explain these ones. Just take a look at them, understand them for what they are, and then I'll go more in depth when we get to Garrett's videos. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you with your guys' swings. And if you guys want any breakdowns, go ahead and DM the Flipside Podcast on Instagram. Or if you guys have any questions, just feel free to DM us there, and we'll do an episode for you guys. Thank you, and see you next time.